Welcome to the deep dive.
Yes.
You know that feeling, right? When you translate an English phrase word for word and it just makes no sense at all.
It's so gibberish.
Exactly. Well, that's the world of idioms. And today, we are diving into a stack of material focused on decoding 10 essential ones. The goal is to get you past just understanding and get you speaking like a native.
Yeah.
Because the frustration is so real. I mean, why does bite a bullet mean you're putting up with something?
Or plain as day for something obvious.
Right. If you've ever tried adding word A to word B and gotten this nonsense, you know this hurdle.
And that gap, that's where fluency often just dies. The problem isn't your vocabulary. It's about not connecting the words to the image a native speaker has in their head.
So that's the mission today.
That's the mission. We're going to give you the mental blueprint for these 10 idioms so you can stop memorizing and start visualizing.
Okay, let's unpack that blueprint because
Yeah.
this sounds like the key to the whole deep dive. You're saying when you see an idiom, you should almost ignore the words.
After the first glance, yes. The goal isn't to memorize the string of words. It's to internalize this new concept, this shared mental picture.
The image.
The image. It's the core of what we call the component breakdown method. It's a 3-step process to build understanding, not just swallow a definition.
Okay, what's step 1?
Step 1 is the component, the raw material. The words themselves, fence, sick, scratch, they're just the building blocks.
Simple enough.
Then step 2, and this is the really vital stage, the logic. This is the bridge. It's where we ask, okay, what story or what metaphor connects these words to the real meaning?
That's the decryption key.
It is. Without that key, you're just guessing.
Yeah.
And once you have that logic, step 3, the meaning, it just becomes automatic.
Because you already understand the concept behind it.
Exactly. You've learned the image, not the definition.
Fantastic. Okay, armed with that framework, let's jump into our first theme. Information and clarity.
How we get news and facts.
And first up is a classic one for that unofficial kind of news. Here, through the grapevine.
The visual here is so powerful, isn't it? A literal grapevine is, well, it's tangled. It's messy. It doesn't grow in a straight line.
Right.
That tangled indirect structure is the logic. The grapevine is the gossip network.
And the origin is fascinating. We think of it as office gossip, but it apparently became popular during the American Civil War, talking about the military telegraph system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the wires were strung through trees and fields looking like tangled vines, and the information that came through them was often, unreliable.
That makes perfect sense, and that gives you the definition right there. To hear news from someone else, not an official source.
So when you say, I heard through the grapevine the company is moving, you're not just sharing news, you're also signaling it's a rumor.
You're giving yourself plausible deniability. Exactly. That's the nuance a literal translation will always miss.
Okay, so from unreliable rumors to undeniable facts. Our second idiom, plain as day.
Right.
The logic here feels a bit more direct, but tell me, why is day the key component?
Well, when we break it down, day just equals brightness. Total clarity. Imagine it's high noon. There are no shadows, nowhere to hide.
Everything is illuminated.
Right. We use darkness for confusion, so daylight is the opposite. It's obvious truth. The definition just flows from that, something that is very, very clear to see.
I'm thinking of those times you're stuck on a riddle and then suddenly, boom, it clicks.
Yes.
You'd say, the answer was plain as day, I just couldn't see it. It was always there, you just weren't looking at it right.
Perfect example. Okay, so sometimes things being plain as day is actually the hard part.
Which brings us to our next theme, facing difficulties, things we just can't avoid.
And we're starting with a really vivid one. Bite the bullet?
The logic here, bite means to endure, I get that. But the origin is pretty grim, right?
It is. The visualization is not pleasant, but it is essential. It comes from surgery on the battlefield way before they had anesthesia.
Wow.
When a soldier needed, say, a limb removed, they were given a lead bullet to bite down on hard.
And that was to, what, stop them from screaming?
That, and to stop them from biting their own tongue off from the pain. The image is one of forced, silent endurance of something awful but unavoidable.
That is intense. It really elevates the definition, which is to accept something difficult or unpleasant that is unavoidable.
It's not just dealing with it. It has that sense of stoicism, of accepting temporary agony.
So when you say, I hate surgery, but I'll just have to bite the bullet, you're acknowledging the dread, but also the necessity.
Precisely. Now, what happens when you're already in pain and something makes it even worse?
That takes us to add insult to injury.
The logic is just layering negativity.
Oh.
You start with the injury, the bad thing that happened.
Okay.
Then the insult is the second bad thing that gets piled on top, making it all worse.
It's like stacking pain on top of pain.
That's the image. So the definition is just to make a bad situation even worse.
And it requires two separate negative events, right? It's not just a string of bad luck.
Yep.
The example from the material is perfect. It was raining. That's the injury. And then to add insult to injury, my car wouldn't start.
The car is the insult on top of the injury of being soaked.
Okay, that covers external challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move inward to our third theme. Feelings and decisions.
Our internal state.
We're starting with a phrase I think we've all felt: sick and tired.
When you break down the components, you have sick, which is this deep physical discomfort, and tired, which is mental exhaustion.
There's both body and mind.
It's total exhaustion on every level. It's not just being a little annoyed, it's a breaking point. So the definition is to be thoroughly, intensely annoyed with something.
You mentioned it's an elevated feeling. Can you ever be sick and tired from, say, just physical work? Or is it always about frustration?
That is a great question. And almost always it implies an emotional frustration. It's usually aimed at a problem or a person that's been going on for a while.
It's a declaration.
It is. When you say, I'm sick and tired of your excuses, you're drawing a line in the sand. A boundary has been reached.
And that often leads to a decision. But what if you can't make one? That brings us to being on the fence.
The visualization here is key. The fence is that perfect line separating two choices, two fields. If you're sitting on it,
You haven't committed to either side.
exactly, you're undecided, you're hesitating, you're just perched up there, looking at both options, but not jumping down.
Is being on the fence the same as, say, straddling the line?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there a subtle difference?
Ooh, that's a good distinction. On the fence usually implies genuine indecision. You just don't know what to do. Straddling the line can sometimes feel a bit more calculated, like you're trying to play both sides.
I see. So on the fence is less cynical. It's just true hesitation.
Generally, yes.
That makes the political context clearer. Voters are still on the fence means they're genuinely undecided.
Right. Okay, before we dive into the last few idioms, let's do a quick check. Just focus on the image.
Let's do it.
Okay, if you heard some news, but it was a total rumor, you should see that tangled, messy network.
You heard it through the grapevine.
Perfect. What if you're dreading a procedure you absolutely can't avoid? That image of forced endurance.
You have to bite the bullet.
Yep. And what if you lost your keys and then your friend laughed at you?
Ugh, that's layering a negative on a negative. That's add insult to injury.
You've got it. The visualization makes it almost instant, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, moving on to our next theme. Endings and consequences.
When we stop a task or when our actions catch up to us.
We're starting with one every worker loves to hear. Call it a day.
The logic here is about making a declaration. The word call means to declare, and day means the workday. So you are officially declaring the work is over.
So it's not just stopping, it's making it official.
It is. The definition is simply to decide to stop working for the rest of the day.
I know that feeling. I was editing a document late one night, just staring at the same sentence for like an hour.
Hitting a wall.
Totally. I finally said, okay, that's it. Let's call it a day.
Exactly. Next, a classic warning. Curiosity killed the cat.
The logic here seems pretty direct. Curiosity equals danger.
That's it. The image is of a cat, poking its nose where it doesn't belong and getting into trouble. It's a simple warning against prying too much.
So the definition is basically a warning that being too inquisitive can lead to trouble.
Right. It's what you'd whisper to someone who's trying to peek inside a locked box.
Careful, curiosity killed the cat. The implication being that finding out might be worse than not knowing.
Exactly.
Okay, on to our final theme. Scope and origins. Where things start and how far they go.
Let's start at the very beginning with from scratch.
The logic connects scratch to a starting line. Tell me about that.
Yeah, this comes from sports. In old races, they would literally scratch a starting line into the dirt.
Ah, okay.
So to start from scratch is to start from that 0 point with no head start, no pre-made materials.
Which gives us the definition from the very beginning. It implies a certain authenticity, doesn't it?
It does.
Saying she baked the cake from scratch feels like a bigger accomplishment than just saying she booked a cake.
It elevates the effort, for sure.
And finally, let's define the total extent of something, head to toe.
The visualization couldn't be simpler. It's the whole body, the entire vertical span of a person or a thing.
Complete coverage.
Total coverage. The definition is over the entire body, completely or thoroughly.
It's perfect for describing a big mess. The puppy was covered in mud from head to toe. Or, a thorough review, you analyze the report from head to toe. It's about totality.
It is. And now that we've broken them all down, let's see how they flow together. When these are images in your mind, not just words, using them becomes natural.
Let's hear it.
Okay, here's a little story. I was sick and tired of my old job. I heard through the grapevine they were firing people. The choice was plain as day. I decided to start my own business from scratch. It was hard, but I had to bite the bullet.
Wow, that just, it flows. It's so colorful and immediate. That really shows that fluency is about combining these concepts smoothly.
That's the power of it.
Okay, time for the final test. Let's see if you at home can decode these. I'll give you a situation. You fill in the blank with the image.
Let's do it.
Number 1, I fell in the mud, and to blank, I lost my wallet. That's that classic double negative event.
That is add insult to injury.
Correct. Number 2, we are exhausted after 12 hours of work. Let's blank. We're declaring the work is finished.
Let's call it a day.
Yes. And number 3, he was covered in paint from blank. That total absolute coverage.
From head to toe.
Perfect.
And just like that, you've got the logic for 10 essential idioms. We cover difficulty with bite the bullet and add insult to injury.
Information with plain as day and hear through the grapevine.
Feelings and choices like sick and tired and on the fence.
And endings and scope with call it a day, from scratch, head to toe, and of course, curiosity killed the cat. The key is the image.
The image is everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Idioms are the cultural seasoning in a language. Using them correctly adds color and personality. You're not just sharing information, you're connecting.
You're showing you understand the culture behind the words.
So here's your final challenge, your provocative thought for today. Now that you've decoded the logic, pick just one idiom from this list. Just one. And find a way to use it in a real conversation today.
That's the real test.
That is the real test of application. Go out there and put your new knowledge to work.